Welcome back to the show. Producer Pat here filling in for David today. Donald Trump is panicked over a possible fourth indictment coming his way, this time out of the state of Georgia over alleged election fraud and interference. The investigation now not only includes the efforts to pressure Brad Raffensperger and other election officials to find votes for him that didn't exist. It also has to do with Trump associates allegedly infiltrating voting systems in Coffee County, which is a story I'm going to get to in a little bit. But I guess that thinking that Trump could tweet through it, or in this case, truth through it, he decided to post a bunch of messages to Truth Social over the weekend. Now, it's probably moot because it seems as though a decision by Fani Willis and the grand jury has already been reached. It seems like Donald Trump is going to get charged once again, but it's not a guarantee. So you'd think that Donald Trump would just focus on the 3 criminal cases he's already facing as a guarantee and ignore this potential case out of Georgia and worry about it if and when the indictments do come. But that's not how Donald Trump operates. He thinks that he can get ahead of this. You know, when you think about like distance running, for example, you're supposed to run the mile that you're in. When it comes to boxing, it's one step at a time, one punch at a time, one round at a time, but not for Donald Trump. He's focused on Georgia at the moment, and I have a theory as to why exactly that is, why he's focused more on the Georgia case and worried more about the Georgia case than these other criminal cases. But here's Donald Trump over the weekend posting quite a few times to Truth Social about the potential Georgia indictments. He first said, quote, "The only election interference that took place in Fulton County, Georgia was done by those that rigged and stole the election, not by me, who simply complained that the election was rigged and stolen. We have massive and conclusive proof if the grand jury would like to see it. Unfortunately, the publicity-seeking DA isn't interested in justice or this evidence. Also, as in Manhattan, the corrupt DOJ is pushing hard trying to keep Biden in office. The whole system is dishonest and broken." So Trump acting as if he's going to prove voter fraud, and that's going to be his criminal defense in this Georgia case. Good luck with that one. Next, moving on, Trump said, "Why is phony like imperfect phone call?" Get it? Because Trump here spelled phony with an E as opposed to the American spelling of just spelling it Phony. Very, very clever. Fani Willis, the severely underperforming DA of Fulton County, who is being accused of having an affair with a gang member of a group that she is prosecuting, leaking my name in regard to a grand jury pertaining to election fraud and irregularities that I say took place in Georgia. I made a perfect phone call of protest. What does phony Fani have to do with me? She should instead focus on the record number of murders in Atlanta. So the claim that Fani Willis had an affair with a gang leader has already been debunked. We talked about this last week when I hosted the program, but it's completely made up. She represented a hip-hop artist in a case, and later she had a falling out with the hip-hop artist, and Laura Loomer just made up this idea that she had an affair with him, even though there was no evidence or reason to suggest that that's what took place. And Donald Trump is just running with it, saying, well, people are saying these things, as if that is sufficient evidence for you to be able to make claims like this and act like you're not the one that's actually making them, but still parroting them and still pushing it forward. Next, we have Donald Trump saying, "I hear that racist Fulton County, Atlanta District Attorney phony Fani Willis, who weekly presides over one of the deadliest communities in the U.S. with thousands of murderers, violent criminals, and gang members roaming the streets while going untried, free, and are treated with kid gloves, is using a potential indictment of me and other innocent people as a campaign and fundraising con job, all based on a perfect phone call as president challenging election fraud, my duty and right." I'm not sure why he thinks Fani Willis is a racist, maybe because she's black and he's white and she's investigating him. Aside from that, I'm going to need some citations to see why exactly Trump argues that Fani Willis is racist, because I'm not seeing it at the moment. And then simply Trump truthed, "How can they charge me in Georgia? The phone call was perfect. Witch hunt." So Donald Trump has Georgia on the mind right now, and this is why I think that he is so particularly worried about this specific case. It's theoretically possible that in the 2 federal cases against Donald Trump, he can pardon himself if he becomes president again. Now, we don't know if that is the case for sure because it's never been tested. The courts will have to adjudicate whether someone can pardon themselves, but it's at least possible in theory that Donald Trump could make that work and that he could be able to free himself of the charges. But remember, a president can only pardon in federal cases, and this case out of Georgia is a state case, so he would not be able to pardon himself in Georgia if he's convicted there, even if he does become the president. Now, the charges out of New York also are state charges, of course, but they're believed to be less serious. Even if he is found guilty, he may not get any jail time. He may just get house arrest or a suspended sentence or something like that, especially accounting for his age and lack of criminal history up until this point. But in Georgia, he probably wouldn't be so lucky because while we don't know what the charges specifically are yet, they seem to be a lot more serious than the ones out of New York, and they're charges that could actually put him behind bars for a long period of time, maybe the rest of his life, and he would have no opportunity to bail himself out. So that's why I think Georgia is so important. That's why I think he's so worried about Georgia. Of course, it matters first and foremost whether the evidence points to him having committed serious crimes, and we do, after all, have him on tape asking Brad Raffensperger to find him the 11,780 votes, so it's pretty cut and dry if you ask me. But it's so important also because I think Donald Trump would not be able to get away with this one, and he'd actually have to face the consequences. We could learn more about the suspected Georgia indictments as soon as today, maybe tomorrow, maybe later in the week, but it all seems to be happening very, very soon, and I'm eager to see what happens in that case.
Stop letting government and streaming sites control what you can and can't access online. The solution is using a VPN. Our sponsor, Private Internet Access, is the only VPN that's proven multiple times in court that they are not logging your internet activity. Something else that makes Private Internet Access unique is usability. It is lightning fast for streaming and for downloads. You won't have the lags you get with many other VPNs. Private Internet Access also works with all major movie and TV streaming platforms, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. You can change your country to access content not normally available in your country. Super useful for certain sporting events, awesome BBC content only available to people in the UK. Private Internet Access lets you use IP addresses from 84 different countries and all 50 US states. You can use Private Internet Access on unlimited devices with just a single account. They also have a 30-day money-back guarantee, and they're giving you 83% off with my discount. You can subscribe for $203 a month and get 4 extra months for free. Go to piavpn.com/Pacman. The link is down below.